Nurse Abel here. So, how I passed the NCLEX in 85 questions. TLDW, UWorld practice questions, and listening to Mark Klimek audio. If you do nothing else but those two things, you will have a high chance of passing the NCLEX. Wow, I can't believe I'm making this video. Let's talk about the journey. It's important to give context to how I was able to study for the NCLEX. So I did an accelerated nursing program at Manhattanville University, and what we used to supplement the teaching was we used ATI. So ATI is how our knowledge was assessed, right? And with ATI, it started in the second semester of nursing school. So for about a year now, I've been doing ATI. At the end of each semester, we had an ATI exam for each class. Everyone hated using ATI because it was so specific and so like micro and in the details that it made us feel like we weren't being taught anything in nursing school, and it made me feel dumb. Looking back on it now, I'm appreciative of ATI because it was important to get into the details because that helped set up some type of foundation to understand the macro and the principles of nursing. It helped to set up seeing the bigger picture. How I studied for ATI exams, I would do about 400 practice questions, plus you'd have a practice A and a practice B, plus remediation, so we'd have to handwrite the rationales of the questions that we got wrong, and then we took an ATI actual exam. So for the second, third, and fourth semester, that's what we did. I started in the summer, I finished in the summer. The last semester was we had so basically it was we had a class called leadership that helped us prepare for the NCLEX, and because it's a short semester, we had 2 subjects to study every single week. So what I would do is our teacher gave us a targeted assessment. It was about 30 questions. And then what I eventually learned was, if I just go back for the previous semesters and did the ATI practice questions that our teachers set up for us to help us study for nursing school exams, it helped out a lot in terms of I would sometimes see repeat questions or just understand concepts better, because what I loved about ATI was after you answer a question, it tells you what the right answer is and why the other 3 were wrong. I'm a person that learns from I need to visually see it, but then also I need to say it out loud like I'm teaching myself, and then somehow I just remember it when it comes to taking the exam. So I read everything out loud, and I'm a person who does the most. So yeah, it was just a lot of reading. What I also did was I had a bunch of resources that I got from friends and from people that were already nurses. I listened to what people told me, and I just looked for trends. So what I heard the most was Mark Klimek audio. The whole summer, I would listen to Mark Klimek while I'm driving, while I'm working out, or I'm at home just doing nothing. It would sometimes be background noise, but what I also learned in nursing school was repetition. And if you do things again and again and again, you become used to it, it becomes familiar, and then it becomes second nature. Mark Klimek made things easier to understand, and it made me wish that some of my teachers did the same, or just people in general. In the beginning of the summer, we had a pre-predictor that I did not do well on because I didn't study, among other things, and I got a 69.6%. So it was an 86% chance of passing NCLEX on the first try, and I was upset at myself because I'm friends with smart people, and they were in the high 90s. And of course, young genius, she got a 99% chance to pass it on the first try. Then the end of the summer, we took our post-predictor, and I scored 3 percentage points better. I studied, I got good sleep, I think, and then it popped up to a 92% chance. So ATI is something that helped me a lot. I think helped me a lot throughout nursing school because of how specific it was. It was annoying, but once I got to doing UWorld practice questions, I was like, I actually learned shit in nursing school. So our post-predictor was our last nursing exam on August 12th. August 13th, we had our pinning ceremony. I took 1 week off and I did absolutely nothing because people said you need a break. And thankfully I did that because my brain was fried from nursing school and from studying. So the following Monday, August 19th, I did a UWorld free trial, and it was a 50 question exam. I think I did well on it. You're on track, or like you're in the high percentile. I forgot what it was, but I was like, oh, this is cool. I want all the features. So August 20th, I purchased 30 days of UWorld and one self-assessment exam. I did a 50-question practice exam for 3 days. And then I was thinking to myself, I hit up one of my friends who already took the NCLEX, and he told me start doing 85 because that's the minimum you need to pass the NCLEX. So I started doing 85 question practice exams, and I felt good, right? I think my scores were good. However, I called my best friend and asked how she was studying because she's the GOAT. She sets the bar, and I'm just gonna follow whatever she does. So she said that she started doing adaptive exams, and I was scared because I was like, when you do just the practice exams, every question you answer, you know immediately if it was right or wrong, and it shows you the rationale. When you do the adaptive exam, you have no idea what's going on until the computer shuts off. And luckily, every single adaptive exam that I took ended at 85. And I was like, all right, I felt dumb, felt like I was not answering questions correctly. I just felt like I was failing. But every single exam that I finished, I scored high. Everything was good. And I was like, all right, you know what? Instead of how I feel, I'm just going to rely on statistics. I'm going to rely on what I'm seeing. And it helped. It gave me confidence to take an exam, but it didn't make me feel confident in terms of like, I know my shit. I'm doing an adaptive exam every single day. I read the rationales, and UWorld has amazing explanations. They also have videos to supplement the material that you see on the screen. But it was really, really helpful. So I read it out loud. I made flashcards using Anki. So what I did was I tried using the UWorld flashcards, and it's cool if I wasn't exposed to something better beforehand, Anki. And what I did, I also used AI. So I took screenshots of certain rationales, and what I would do is I would upload it to Perplexity, and the prompt was basically like, hey, this picture that I'm uploading, can you format this in a CSV file that I can upload to Anki? And it already understands what Anki is. So I can upload to Anki, and with questions on the front and answers on the back. And it's helpful. Now, I'm doing these practice exams. I am fried. My brain is tired, but I just don't quit every single day. I also work. I work 3 days a week. I'm a personal trainer. I would wake up every single day and do a practice exam. I did a practice exam for 18 days straight and never took a break, no matter how I felt. And maybe I should have done less on the days that I was tired, but I found ways to overcome being tired and being burnt out in nursing school. I could do it for a shorter period of time. We registered to get our access code early in nursing school, I think in early August. We had our pinning ceremony on August 13th, and then we officially graduated on August 30th. So I'm thinking like, yo, this is gonna take some time, probably the first or second week in September. I'll get my access code, so I'll probably schedule the NCLEX in the middle or the end of September. So I was expecting to do a month of UWorld and then take the exam. Luckily, I woke up on August 30th and I got my access code email. I'm like, all right, bet. Let's schedule the exam. I'm tired. I just want to get it over with. I'll never feel ready for an exam, but I was prepared. I did practice exams every single day without taking a break. And I remember we had a lady come in and do a 3-day live review on how to prepare us for the Post-predictor and the NCLEX. And she said the number one thing that everyone who passed the NCLEX had in common was they did practice exams every single day. She was like, no matter if it's 10 questions or 100's a lot, you have to get used to seeing what you're going to see on the NCLEX. So once I was done with nursing school, I never looked at ATI. I never read anything specific in books or whatever. I just did practice exams because the way they word questions in nursing is so confusing. The answer can change based on how they ask the question. So 4 answers are correct, but one is the most correct. Okay, cool. The answer changes if the question is asking about priority versus what is the first thing that the nurse should do versus the patient shows correct understanding if, or doesn't show understanding if they say this. And not only are you having multiple choice questions, you also have select all that apply questions. Then, because I took the NGN, Next Generation NCLEX, I would have case scenarios and multiple tabs of exhibits. So you have like a history and physical, then you'll have nursing notes, and then you'll have labs, and then you'll have medications, and then X, Y, and then updates to those things. And then when you have all of this information in like 5 or 6 tabs, you're supposed to answer questions that have drop downs or butterfly matrices. So like one thing you'll see is like the patient, I always start in the middle. What do I think that this patient is experiencing? What are the 2 actions that the nurse needs to do? And then the 2 parameters to monitor. Then you'll have columns where I have to answer something. You have to answer all of these things correctly. So one column can be like, this is indicated, contraindicated. Another one can be, this is anticipated, unanticipated. The other one, my favorite, you'll have this 2 to 3 conditions the patient could be experiencing. This one is anaphylaxis, and then this one is an acute asthma exacerbation. And they'll have like symptoms of each thing. So like you have to say, what is anaphylaxis? What could they be experiencing? What is an acute asthma exacerbation? And sometimes it could be both of them at the same thing, and other times it's just one. So yeah, there was a lot. When I tell you I've never had to use my brain so much, nursing school was by far the hardest thing I ever did in my life, and nothing comes close. I got my access code August 30th. And because I was so tired of studying and my brain was fried, I just went for it. I looked at dates to take the exam, and this was on a Friday. The next date was the next day, and I was like, that's too bold. So what I did was I scheduled the one for the next Friday. I gave myself 7 days to be prepared for the NCLEX. Mind you, I've been doing practice exams every single day up until this point. So I did a self-assessment exam 5 days before the NCLEX. I scored a 71%, which was equated to a high chance of passing, and the average was 73. And I'm mad at myself because I changed about 15 questions that were right to something that was wrong because I'm not confident. And it would have been a high chance, and I could have been part of that high chance club, but whatever. I studied all the way until Wednesday, September 4th. By September 4th, I had done 43% of UWorld. So that's about 1,148 practice questions on UWorld, plus the 50 questions that I did for the free trial, plus 100 for the self-assessment. So I did about 1,300 questions in 18 days. It's a lot. And mind you, every time I did a adaptive exam, it's preparing you for the NCLEX. So it can stop at 85 or go all the way up to 150. And thank God, it never went past 85. So I'm using that information to say like, hey, I don't feel confident, but every single day it's stopping at 85. I have a high chance of passing. I'm on track. Cool. And overall, I was at a 69% of points. So don't think that like 85 questions is 85 points. In one question, you can have up to 5 or 6 points. So out of all the points that I could have in one exam, overall 69%, which is a green according to them. And my last exam that I took on September 4th, I scored a 70% in points. I was in the 99th percentile, and my level of preparedness was on track. And it was a high difficulty exam at 1.3, where it ranges from 0.5 to 1.5. On Thursday, the day before, I was told, don't do any practice questions, just rest your brain. And thankfully I did that, because when I got to the NCLEX on Friday, I felt prepared and I felt good. So on Thursday morning, I reviewed the prior day's exam, and then I sped through 170, 180 flashcards in like 30 minutes, just reading really fast, not really letting it soak. It was less about knowing and more about recognizing, right? When I get to the NCLEX, I never saw a single question that I saw before, and everything was brand new. But because I've done so many practice exams, and I've done so many practice questions, somehow I knew it inside. The night before, on Thursday night, I went to bed early. I got 9 hours and 46 minutes of sleep. I'm somebody that struggles with sleep. So I've been taking Beam powder by Dream since July or August, and it's been a game changer in terms of the quality of sleep I get and actually falling asleep. I developed insomnia in nursing school, and this sleep aid has been a lifesaver. So thank you to Dream for making Beam and helping me sleep. I was scheduled to take the NCLEX on Friday, September 6th at 12:15. I got there 40 minutes early. I went through the whole process of like getting set up. And yeah, I'm in a testing center where I sit down in front of a computer in a cubicle. So everything to the side of me is blocked off. I have noise canceling headphones that I put on. I get prepared and input all of my information. Cool. Let's take the exam. Question 1, what is this? It took me almost 2.5 hours with a break to take the NCLEX. I was not confident about anything. In 85 questions, I felt confident about 2. 2 questions, I knew the answer, and that was it. Everything else was a guess. So when I tell you I just blanked for almost 2.5 hours, it's insane. I took a break at question 62. I felt tired. I felt hot, lethargic. I'm like, cool, let's do this, right? I take a sip of water. I pee. I take a bite out of a protein bar, drink another sip of water, and then I go back to taking the exam. At 77, because it was a 2-hour mark, I didn't realize it, the computer shut off and told me, hey, you should take a break. And I was like, oh my God. My heart was like this. I'm checking my carotid pulse, like, oh my God, what's going on? And then I'm like, oh, this is what a stroke feels like. I was so scared. So when it suggested that I take a break, nah, we're almost at the end. And also another thing that was making me hyperventilate was the fact that if it shut off before 85, that means I was doing horrible. So my anxiety is going through the roof. I get to question 85, and this is the moment. And cross my fingers, say a quick prayer, and I'm like, please, 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 let this be it. So I hit next, and then the computer's starting to shut down, and I'm like, oh my God, is this it? I think I'm done. I think I passed. It takes so long for the computer to shut down that I'm thinking it's loaded up round 2, and I'm like, we're going the fucking distance. Thankfully, it shut down, and then it gave me a survey to fill out, and then that was it, and I was done. So it took 47 hours for me to get my results. I took this on a Friday. Then I realized because it said 48 business hours, the results might come on Monday or Tuesday. Sunday, just before 2 o'clock comes, and now it goes from results not available to purchase. So I purchased the quick results, and I passed the NCLEX. And the journey is done. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I've never cried so much. I've never doubted myself so much. And I'm thankful for my best friends that I developed in nursing school, and thankful for family and friends that pushed me and encouraged me to keep going and believed in me. It is the loneliest thing I've ever done in my life, and the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm happy to come out on the other end a registered nurse. So I'm thankful. And now, let's get a job and save some lives.